well, look, there's all these words that we have that describe likelihoods, right? So like always is one of them that implies kind of all of the time, right? But then there's things like real possibility, a good possibility, a slam dunk, maybe. Like these are all things that are describing how likely something is to occur. So I offer up a list of all of those things, and I say start there, right? I think if I do this thing, there's a real possibility that this will work out, or there's a very slim possibility that this will happen. So start there. But then what I say is, okay, but the problem with that is that people have different ideas about what those things mean. And why it's important to be specific is that one of the best ways to become a decision maker is to get really good input from other people. It's actually your most important decision tool is feedback from other people. But in order to get good feedback from someone, we have to be speaking the same language. So I have an exercise in the book where I basically take these terms like real possibility, and I have people write down what they mean when they use that term. So I can do that right now. So like, can you just first, don't say it out loud, but just write down a piece of paper or something. When you say real possibility, like there's a real possibility of rain tomorrow, what probability you're saying, like how many times out of 100, or what do you think the chances of rain are tomorrow when you say a real possibility? So if you guys each can write that down, and then after you've written it down, now say it out loud. So what do you think, Zena?
85%.
And you?
Oh my God,
you both said 85%. That's so unusual.
Yeah, great minds.
That's amazing. You guys are like on a mind meld.
Oh no.
So no, that's okay.
We're like the same, Karen. Isn't that what you've always wanted?
That's amazing. So here's what I'll tell you. When I do this with groups, the range on real possibility is 16% to 90%.
What?
I know.
Wait, 16%? Who would say that a real possibility is 16%?
lot of
Rudy Giuliani.
His brain is leaking.
He doesn't know what opaque means, so there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, like I have actually a great graph of these terms and what you can find out. Here's the great thing. People don't agree on what always and never mean.
This is a terrible world.
I know, right? Some people think never means 10%. It's so great.
This is why we can't fix COVID. I feel like this is it.
This is why
we just hit on that.
By the way, this is why we can't fix COVID. So, okay, so what I do is I tell people, write down your column and then have 3 friends do it. But don't tell them what your answers are. And then what they find out is that there's like these really big ranges on what these things mean. And then that tells you, okay, instead of using the term, I should use the number. Because that's where we find out. Do you see what I'm saying? Because like, God, what if I say, well, there's a real possibility if you go to this gathering that you're going to get COVID, and you think I mean 16%, but what I really mean is 85%. Right? Like that.
Wait. And for the record, never is 0%.
Yeah, I would agree.
Never
agree.
0.
Listen, I'm right here with you.
Like, going out on a limb again.
I'm like, what? Like, it's so weird. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, wait, I thought always is 100%. Apparently people think it's 90%. I had no idea. So this is why it's really important. And then we can take that further, right? So we can take that further and just like, don't just be specific about that kind of stuff, but be specific about what you mean. So like, I'll take an example from COVID. So I'll hear people say all the time, like they're trying to decide like, do I feel comfortable like social distancing with you in the backyard or whatever? And so I hear people say things like, are you pretty careful? Or like, are you pretty safe about COVID, right? And the other person will say yes. And you think you have some idea that you're in some sort of agreement. But this is what I ask people. I say, imagine you have, like you just took a test and it's positive. Tell me how you got it. And then you find out that that person who said they're careful is like, well, I always wear, it must have been when I went into the bar, but I was wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wait, your idea, like you're inside. Like, okay, that's different than what I think that safe is. So you need to like really, whether it's about probabilities and thinking about those and really specific, you need to force yourself to define what you mean, to be really specific in what the term is, because otherwise all this misunderstanding can occur where you don't even know that you're misunderstanding because you just assume that other people's definitions are the same as yours.
Wow. That was an epiphany.
Yeah.
Thank you, Annie.
That's what Fauci should be doing.
Yes, exactly. Like I have the chart. you can find, like, if people get How to Decide, the chart is in my book of the answers that people give. And it's really, really astonishing. It's a survey of 1,700 people on those terms. And it's something else. I'll tell you what, when you see how much variation there is, you're like, holy crud. Nobody means the same thing that I do. And I had no idea.
You know, that's another word that we've ruined. I blame my generation and myself. Literally.
Yes.
We've literally ruined literally.
That is true.
Meaningless.
It's totally meaningless. It's like, you know what it is? It's just like, it's like a way to say, it's like very.
Yeah.
Like,
So
oh,
what do we
I
do
really
about
mean
this?
it.
You know, Sina and I are both solution oriented. We want to see. I want to see the world a better place. I need it to fix itself, or I'm gonna have to go to an island, somewhere.
Yeah,
like,
I'm
Star
with you on
Wars.
that.
Yeah, because I don't know how we survive with this disparate way in which we see things. I mean, 71 million people, 55% of y'all, you know, white women voted for Trump. I'm just like, I'm so confused, more than last time. I don't understand. I'm not getting into your politics, but I'm just like, really? Y'all thought the last 4 years were amazing? Oh, more people. I don't get it. So it's a struggle. Is there something in this book that will help us solve this? Get us on the same page?
Oh gosh, yeah. I think so. I talk a lot about the inside view and outside view in this book. And by the way, just so you know, I live in the suburbs of Philadelphia. My vote really mattered. I'm very proud of where I
hear
live.
you. I hear you, Annie.
So basically, I think about the inside and outside view a lot, right? And this is part of the problem that we have, I think, as a country, is that we all kind of have our information bubbles, right? And the thing is, it's sort of the same idea as, like, I think my real possibility is the same as yours, or I think that safe is the same as yours. And then you get into this thing called naive realism, which is really weird, which is like, if somebody has a different idea than you think they're stupid. And then all of a sudden you can't even talk to anybody. And everybody becomes more extreme because, like, everybody's in their own information bubbles. And then you can't even see the other side. So one of the problems with the inside view is called motivated reasoning. And this is the motivated reasoning problem. We all think that information is in the driver's seat. Like, I can show you a whole bunch of facts. And I can say, like, for example, with QAnon, I can show you, like, look, show me like, there's no evidence that there's some sort of cabal of people who are, like, not just trafficking in children, but also eating them, right? Like, I can sort of say, and I can try to show you all of these facts. And I think that if I just show you the facts, that it will be okay. Because then, like, you'll process those facts and that will cause you to change your view. But it's not the way the human mind works. What actually works is that you have strongly held beliefs. A lot of them have to do with, like, sort of tribe, right? Like, what's your identity? Like, and we have very strong political identities, for example, or racial identities or whatever. Like, there's a lot of identity. And then that actually drives the way that you process the information. Well, if that's the case, how can two people who are in disparate groups ever have a conversation? Because the facts in essence don't matter. Like, people say, like, oh, everybody's living with their own facts, but it's actually not true. Everybody's kind of looking at the same facts. They're just processing them in different ways. Right? So the answer isn't more facts. The answer is to get people to talk to each other with an open mind better, so that the actual truth will come out. Because if you can do that, if you can say, let's have conversations with each other that are open-minded so that you can understand my point of view and I can understand your point of view, and do this in a sort of a small way in your own life in terms of the way that you talk to other people, and then that should help to propagate out, then when you use that process, what happens is the truth starts to come out. The truth becomes the actual truth, because you can start to process the facts in a way that's more rational, that isn't as driven by, like, what you already think you're going to believe is true. And you can hear it better. And then it's in the same way, like, the way that I think about it is like, look, the earth revolves around the sun. But there was a long time that the sun revolved around the earth, and that was driven by a particular tribe, which was the Catholic Church. And it said, you must not pay attention to any evidence otherwise, because how you signal your belongingness to this tribe, which is the Catholic Church, is by believing this thing about the earth being the center of the universe, right? Well, then, people started to become open-minded about what the facts were that might suggest otherwise. And all of a sudden, people started to accept the truth because they became open-minded beyond what they wanted to believe was true, because they had some preconceived notion that was driving that for them, right? And so I think that that's the way to get the truth to come out, is we've got to find a way to have these better conversations that allows people to be more open-minded to what should be, what is actually objectively true of the world.
But it would require, Annie Duke, and especially if you're driven by this made-up construct called race, it would require people to dismantle who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a harder thing for you to come to a realization that who I've always thought I've been, I'm no longer that. And I'm not willing to move away from that, because there's a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging and a sense of self rooted to that thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So there's two things that you can do that can help that. The first is that it turns out that if somebody in your group starts to change their mind and you have a conversation with them, that's actually the best way to change their mind.
So we need to deploy people in groups, in those groups, to like little guided missiles.
Something like that, or just really actually leverage the fact that there are, in any group, there are people who are more moderate, and allow those moderate voices to show through a little bit more so that you can get some movement. There's an amazing story about, I don't know if you know this, I think his name is Derek Black, and his father was the founder of Stormfront, mm-hmm. and his mother was David Duke's ex-wife, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you know him, right? And so he at like 16 or something, he had his own radio show that was like complete, like total white supremacist radio show. And he went off to college.
Went to school. Yeah.
Went to school, and he was interacting with a whole bunch of different people. And he got invited to a regular Shabbat dinner, which was like a total like multiracial, multi-ethnic, Friday night, everybody like talking to each other. And it was through that process that he actually ended up realizing that like his view of the world was really screwed up, and that people were just people. And it was like an amazing, you look at somebody like that and you say, how could they possibly transform? And it was because they ended up in a different circle with people that who weren't saying to him, you're evil. They were like, I want to know why you believe what you do, and let's have a conversation about why I believe what I do. And that's what changed the mind, right? Because that's what allowed the truth to show through there, and he became converted. I think it's such a good lesson, because I think that if people had just chased him off campus, you would have had somebody who continued down that road. But because he got invited to this Shabbat dinner on a weekly basis and had those real conversations coming from a really, like, I don't think that anybody should do this with somebody who's not arguing in good faith, right? Because I think there's a lot of people who don't argue in good faith. But this was a good faith discussion that was happening every Friday night. And look what happened. The truth came out. And he found the truth. And I think that that is such a good example. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to get away from who you are now and think about, sort of to this point of negative thinking. Like, let's imagine it's 10 years from now, and I'm really embarrassed of what I believe now, or I wish that I hadn't believed that, or it turned out that things that I believed weren't true. I think that then that allows you to get away from what you just talked about, like this wanting to protect who you are so badly. And that when we can think, like when I think about who I was when I was 20, it's like I was an idiot. And it doesn't really bother me because I'm far enough away from that. So we can also do that by traveling into the future and say, let me imagine that the world really changed, or I found my views changed, or I found out that other people that I thought were wrong were actually right, and actually live and explore that. And I think that that also can help you to get to a better place and more truth.